All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good midnight. I don't know. Hopefully this day finds you well. Paul Tranny diving into using color in Illustrator and really manipulating color. It's all about manipulating color. And it's exciting because we had a cool sneak last week that my boss Rufus Deutschler has shown the world, which was largely about color matching. But I want to show you what you could do today. So I want to give you a warm welcome as well. So just jump in here. Hello, Valder and Te Ihab. Hello, hello. Cool, fantastic. Let's dive into sharing my exciting screen full of colors. Boom, there they are. Welcome. All right. A little bit later than usual, maybe a little bit. I was live on Behance earlier, but I'm just thankful that you are here. Mardalis and Muhammad Naveed from Pakistan. Oh, must be late there. Thank you so much for joining me. Vancouver, Roshane. Awesome. Let's get into this. I want to make this worthwhile, and I want to give you a warm welcome from Crouch from Algeria. Very cool. So you can see I have a number of colors right in here. I have a lot going on, right? And I first want to talk about like how I set up documents. So I'm going to go to File, New, and I feel like I show this all the time because I find it so valuable. I have this little file, and it's called All You Need. So this is literally what I would make when I start out in Illustrator. Okay. All right. Cool. So this file, by the way, I usually make this master file, and we can find it in here, right here. I think I called it All You Need, but in New Document Profiles, that's where I store all my colors and all my gradients and all my brushes and graphics and everything, and you can find that at this certain path, and I can always send. I don't know how to copy on Mac. But let me just show the enclosing folder. There it is. So you can see what happens. You put this file right in here, and then I can start using these different colors. So this is what I have right down here. We can see these swatches, right? So this is huge because I want to make these swatches that can be changed. What's the deal with these swatches, by the way? These are colors that are global colors. So this is what I would do. Jan Murica, top fan from Colombia. Love Colombia. Right? So I would mix a color. Right? I'm thinking, okay, I want to have like a cool pink. Love pink. There's my pink color right there. Let's get rid of some of this other stuff. So we can just get some fancy drop shadow. But this color I've made, so I'm going to add this as a swatch. Click right down here, right? We can see right there. Click, new swatch. This is what we get. We want to make sure all the colors that we create are going to be global colors, so I can change them globally. This makes it huge for changing later, right? So it's a global color. That's checked by default, and it used to not be. But if you're using CC, Photoshop, Illustrator, CC, then you're good to go there. So that's what I typically do. Efrat, I don't know if you do that. Frank, good to have you here. Welcome. I'm here in beautiful Denver, Colorado. So therefore, when I work on something, as I kind of switch over to this graphic just for kicks, I could have like her lips selected. Right there. I have all these different colors. I can change everything to red, okay? And the cool thing is, since I changed that to red, or I changed it to any color, if I change this red in here, since this is a global color, it's going to change it everywhere. As I make it darker, we can see making it darker. Making it brighter, we can see that her lips are getting brighter. Everywhere where I use that color, we can see it's changing globally. So global colors are huge, and that is why I've made this master file with all of these global colors. Because chances are, Sonia from Tunisia. I just want to give everybody a big hug because the world's an awesome place, huh? It's cool to have just people from all over the world joining. So I'll do the same thing with gradients right in here, right? I have all these gradients because I don't know how many times, Shuvo, that I'd have to go in and make these gradients over and over and over and over again. But since I put that file right in here, we now all of a sudden have Paul's master file with all of his colors. He only has to set up once. And again, not only they're in my swatches, but they're also global colors for the flat colors. So let's move on from there, because I've been working on this. I'm going to talk about that. Since I'm talking about radial and linear gradients, obviously, again, we could change those. Boop, right? We get the idea. We know we can adjust this any way we want, right? We know this background. We can change that gradient too to anything we want. Super easy to work with. This one's a little bright, but that's okay. Because I'm going to go beyond, a linear and a radial gradient, and I'm going to show you that you can actually use freeform gradients. Okay, so really fast, gradient tool. Here it is. Zip. Radial gradient, linear gradient. We've seen those. Freeform, right? I'm going to be making a space scene. So really just use this. Freeform gradient, clicking there, guess what? I have these different color droplets, if you will, that I can then go ahead and change. So changing that to red, right? I have full control. We're going to go for a nice blue over here, right? We'll mix it up a little yellow. Actually, that looks really cool already. But you're going to get new color combos that you were just not expecting. Notice how I just clicked right in here. And for this one, I'm going to change this to green. Okay, so as I move this around, you could see how it changes. This is new art. I wasn't able to do this before. You won't get these combos like you've been able to in the past, right? So right in here, we can see that as I change it and clicking right in there, change that to, I don't know, some other color, right? Cool. Again, these are freeform gradient tool, by the way. There's also linear. I don't have time to get into that. Not too much time anyway. But I'm going to make this a freeform gradient as well on this sphere, just to show how you can add lines. So let's just change this to black. We'll make a curve. Okay, so actually let's change this to... Let's change this to points. I'm going to add a point over here, right, like that. So for this one, I'm going to turn it into a linear gradient. So a linear freeform gradient, a line, click, click, click. You can see how it follows that curve right there. And again, super impressive what you can do. Good evening, Frank. Frank, I want to know what you mean by the gradient filter. Are you talking about an effect that's gradient in here? I would like to know. There's also the blend tool, which can be confused with a gradient tool, but nonetheless, again, you get the idea. I'm going to rotate this around like that. I could show you some other assets that I've made based on this. By the way, we have this. We have, yeah, a ton of different images that I've been working with. You know, this one, this is what I showed at Max earlier in the year, using different gradient tools. There's the mesh tool, by the way, that you could also use. So yes, it's way better than the mesh tool. Thank you, Mohammed. Personally speaking, right? Mesh tool just got really crazy. In fact, I think this one, this was actually done with the mesh tool and was really hard to do. All these lines that I had to work with, I'm like, oh, help me, right? So nonetheless, again, freeform gradient helps me. Let me get back to the one I was working on. Switch to artboards. So many different images that I want to work with right in here. Okay, so I've shown you how to apply or just create solid colors, make them global colors, work with gradients, right? Thank you, Ivan. Freeform gradient is one of the best new features to come about in a long time. I agree. But let's talk about, now that we can apply all these colors and all these gradients, how do we make these consistent? How can we just kind of maybe pare down or recolor the artwork, right? And that's what I want to do now. In fact, right in here, I could have, you know, a bunch of icons or a bunch of squares. So if this was a print job, we know this would be really complex. How many colors are here? This is what I would ask. How many colors do you think are, bring it back. How many colors do you think are in here? Say like 20? I don't know. We could actually find out. We'll go to Edit, down to Edit Color, Recolor Artwork right here. Click. Recolor that artwork. Look at how many shades of orange I have, right? In fact, if I scroll down, actually, I don't know if it actually tells me exactly, but I have so many different shades of orange, of yellow, of greens. I want to consolidate this down to, I don't know, maybe only 5 colors. And it's pared all of those down into 5 colors. So my 20 color print job is now a 5 color print job. All right, Optimum Life, if you could kind of repeat your question. I'm sorry, you're asking about what does that mean or why is that good? Give me a little context because I'm just noticing that comment. So, okay. Yeah, I want to get back to that. Actually, that's a good question as I see somebody talk about the Freeform Gradient tool. Let's see where that is. Clicking over here. I have too many files open. So let's close some down. I think somebody was asking about yeah, so the colors you actually pick for the Freeform Gradient, just so you know, I'll open that up. By the way, we can always use just our Properties panel. So right over here, Properties, click on the fill. We can go to the gradient here and then open up gradient options. That will open up that gradient panel. So right in here, if I click, notice how I can change the opacity. Somebody was asking if you can adjust the opacity or the transparency, and the answer is yes. So I can actually reveal the white of the page or the graphic in the background if I drop this down to say 0. And that's actually revealing the white of the page as I make that and send it to the back. I'm actually sending it to the back. It's actually behind. Let's make sure it's there. Yep. It's actually behind now, and you can see it kind of fade in. So basically, you have unlimited options when it comes to the Freeform Gradient tool, in my opinion. So let's move on to my, sorry, I'm jumping around so much, to this graphic. I have all these colors. This might not be what I expected. So I'm going to go to Recolor Artwork. And right in here, I can actually determine what colors can be consolidated down, right? So I'm going to change this, and let me actually take this back a little bit to the original, because I want to show you can add more than just 5 or pare it more down to just 1. I can take these colors and I can say, hey, these 2 colors, make them the same. Just dragging them, there we go, dragging them down. Bah. Just like that, using these 3 oranges, right? These different oranges make it 1 color. I can select 5, and you know what? I can go up. I can go up from here. Let's do 6, right? And again, looks like we can kind of reveal all of those colors. But the cool thing is, if I decide I want this sort of teal color to be more blue, I can drag that into the blue segment. I could take this green and drag it in there and make sure we only have those reds. Okay, so that is the goal. I'll go into Edit. We can see the colors right in here. I can lock those colors down too, and I can adjust accordingly. I could have fun changing these all I want. All right. Whew. Yes, Monta Lismane, you said you have 2 Pantone colors. You should be able to recognize your colors in here. By the way, here's the assign. So again, I can see the colors right down here. In fact, it's probably going to give you a different output right in here. So just determine what color you need to change and make sure they're part of the same block. And then you've paired that 20 color job down to like 6 colors in this case. Right? And again, you could just have fun playing with the color wheel. What's funny is people usually just play with this color wheel and they ignore assigning the colors because it just seems too complex. So hopefully you appreciate that. That's a huge thing that I need to do. Click OK. And by the way, speaking of colors, once I have it consolidated down to my top colors, I can make a new color group of the selected artwork, clicking OK. And here's like all my colors that are currently being used. I thought I pared those down. There we go. I actually, again, pared it down to the top 5, increasing the saturation for all of them, by the way. Getting a nice color combo, clicking OK. And there I have my new colors in this folder, up right down there. Okay, cool. Let's move on from there. Consolidated colors, use color gradients. I can then get into patterns and other things as well. Samuel, top fan, fantastic. I want to point out one other thing too, by the way. Using a combination of colors. So check this out. Like I can have something that's maybe a radial gradient. Okay, we'll move this over here. Here's my radial gradient. And then I can actually, using the appearance panel, I can apply other fills. So I can add a new fill on top of this fill. And the second fill can be of, a linear gradient. And the thing is, for this second fill, the opacity can be down like 50%. I'm showing this, Ziyad, because I sometimes see people, what they will actually do is they'll have two shapes, and one of them will have a gradient on it, and the other one will be like a different shape. So you don't need to have two different shapes, one top of the other. You literally just add different fills on top of that one shape all day long. And you know what? You can add strokes. So if you want a combination of amazing gradients for something awesome, then I would encourage you to use the appearance panel. Blue Snow Planet Buzz, Light Month. That's right. It is Earth Month. Earth Day? Was it Earth Day? Was like last week, but I think this month is like Earth Month or something like that. Either way, oh, you're so kind, Chiara. You saved all the videos to watch anytime you need. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And by the way, if we get tricky with this appearance panel, there's so many things we can do, right? Again, like I said, we can add a new stroke that's black, and this new stroke can have dashed lines that's larger, right? And I can go crazy. In fact, we could see right over here. What's this all about? This red planet, it seems. How many vectors are a part of this, Samuel? Who knows? Well, I do. How many vectors are in this, right? Do you think it has one vector for each circle? Well, no. If I do Command Y, boop, we could see that it's just a circle. So I'm going to turn this on, and guess what? Opening up that appearance panel, we can see that I've gotten crazy with the appearance. We have strokes with different size dashes, offset, and I have different fills as well. So again, a lot you can do with the appearance panel, laying those colors, laying those strokes one on top of the next. So anyways, I think that's cool. Fantastic. All right, so this recording actually is on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, search for Paul Trani, it should be /PTRANI. And you can watch this on YouTube if you want to as well. Okay. But that's about it. I just kind of wanted to cover color, okay, in a fun way, and show you everything that it can do, okay? There was another thing that comes around in terms of like picking color, which is a whole other deal, by the way. So color guide, and there's also color themes as well that you can get into if you want to apply some different color themes, okay? I typically kind of create and then I use Recolor Artwork to consolidate things. But here again, if you want to sort of take all these colors and use one of these color themes, you can as well. So again, exploring different colors. This is actually color.adobe.com. That's what's going on here. Color.adobe.com, and you can see the different themes that I have saved right in here. Right? I want to pick a color and change it. You can see what's happening there as I change that top bar. Okay. All right. Although I will say that what I really like about this first one is this color wheel. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to let you go. That's about it for me. Just kind of diving into color, changing color, manipulating color, making color consistent, and going from there. And I better stop now or I'm going to start talking about a zillion other things. Even if you wanted to remove the color entirely, you can go down to Edit Colors. Rather than doing Recolor Artwork, you can actually convert everything to these different other modes. So you can make a grayscale, RGB, invert, overprint, saturate. Some of these color tweaks is what's happening here. As I go into grayscale, you can see what happens, converts everything to grayscale. Cool, easy enough. Explore that. It's also right up here. When you select a color, it's this little color wheel will get you to Recolor Artwork as well. So that's it for me. I'm going to undo that because I want to end on an exciting image, what I created for Max this last year. And yeah, you should join me for next year, or this year at Adobe Max in LA. What's the difference between updating apps without removing the old versions? It means exactly that. It's going to keep the previous version, and usually we will sort of segment it out by year. Okay, so this Illustrator, you can see, is the latest Illustrator, version 23. Technically, there's a version 23, 22, but it will keep both apps on your desktop, just so you know. So that's about it. All right, everybody, have a beautiful day. Remember, be kind to one another. And yeah, appreciate you hanging out with me. If you have more suggestions for live streams, always happy to hear from you. My door is always open. Check out my social media below, and you can get in touch with me. So thanks so much for watching. Gab and Afrosia and Samuel and Zakira and Joanna and everyone. And Hest, have an awesome day. Appreciate you. Have a good one. We'll see you. Bye.